Mackie here. I'm so excited today to talk to you about procrastination. I'm somewhat of an expert in the field. You probably already know what the word procrastination means, but just in case you don't, procrastination is when you put off doing stuff that needs to be done. For example, if your teacher gives you an assignment that is due in 14 days and you don't start that assignment until the 13th day, then you are a procrastinator. As much as it pains me to admit it, it's incredibly satisfying to have nothing on your to-do list. And unfortunately, the only way that you can have nothing on your to-do list is if you actually do the stuff that's on your to-do list. So sometimes when I procrastinate, it's because I'm tired and I don't want to do it because I've been working all week and I've been busy and I'd really rather just lay down and relax. And other times I procrastinate because the thing that I need to do is not enjoyable. It's not fun. I mean, who actually wants to go and wash the dishes? I mean, that's not a fun thing to do, right? I mean, unless washing the dishes is like your thing, in which case, go on with your bad self, you wonderful little weirdo. When the stuff I've got to do isn't fun, it's really easy for me to just not do it. And instead of doing the stuff that I'm supposed to be doing, I can come up with quite a lot of other things to fill my time. Perhaps some procrastinating, procrasti-gardening, maybe a procrasti trip to the water fountain? Procrasti workout.
Procrasti dancing.
Maybe you feel like you need to do some procrasti recycling.
Procrasti scooting.
Procrasti sketching. Procrasti hoops. Procrasti Broadway. Sorry about that. Everybody, let's take a look at this procrastination worksheet that your teacher's given you, and let's talk a little bit about some things we can do to beat our procrastinating tendencies. It says that we can break the overwhelming task into manageable parts. This basically means that if you have a really big task that is making you feel like you can't do it all at once, then don't try to do it all at once. Sometimes those big tasks can be broken down into smaller pieces, and then you'll not only be able to get it finished in a reasonable amount of time, but you'll also be able to feel a sense of accomplishment as you knock each of those little bitty tasks off of your to-do list. Prioritize the parts. This means that if you have a big task and you break it into little pieces, maybe you should consider doing the most important things first. That way, the bulk of the work is done. Make a plan and write the steps out. That can help too. Sometimes seeing it on paper really helps, especially for those people who are visual learners. Seeing it all itemized with 4 neat little check boxes next to it can make you really feel like it's not that big of a task after all. Set aside specific amounts of time to be spent on that task each day. This means that instead of feeling like you have to spend the entire Saturday cleaning your room, and I know this is painful to hear, but maybe if you tidied your room just a few minutes a day, it wouldn't actually be such a disaster area in the first place. Set a deadline for completion of each part of the task, short-term goals. So maybe it would help you if you had a timeline and you think, in a week, I'd like to have this entire big project done. But by Tuesday, I need to make sure I have the outline finished. Start immediately on one part of the task. This is great for helping you get your sort of confidence back and helping you feel like you are still in control of the situation. It feels really good to complete something, even just a little tiny piece of something. So if you can, at least get one little part of the whole process or the whole project done right away. That way you'll at least feel good about having started. If uncertain about how to do the task, get the needed information. I can't tell you how many times I've had a sweet little cherub come up to me on the due date for a project or paper or whatever and say on the very last day that they didn't understand what they were supposed to be doing. Which, I mean, really. But if that's how you feel, you probably know that on day 1 of the project, not just day 6 of the project. So the sooner you get the instructions and the sooner you understand what it is that you're supposed to do, the sooner you can actually accomplish the task. Delegate if necessary or ask for help. This is really important. If it's something that you can't do on your own, ask for help. Sometimes, especially with school, we will have a project or an assignment given to us, and sometimes you guys really just don't know where to start. And that's okay. That's when you should come to your teacher, maybe before or after class or during advisory, and ask them for a little help to get started. That's a normal thing to do. It's a reasonable and responsible thing to do. Start listing the benefits that will come from completing the task in time. Now, I know that most of you have somebody at your house, a mom, a dad, a grandma, or whatever, who's always hounding you about getting your chores done. If you ever stopped to consider just how happy they would be if you did the stuff they asked you to do, you might be surprised at the ways that they respond to you and the ways that they encourage and praise and support you and shower you with affection and attention because you did the things that they asked. And it may not seem like those are benefits, but they really, really are. Having the people in your life be proud of you and of your accomplishments is a really good feeling, and it makes you want to do other great stuff. So don't be the person who never gets stuff done because you think that it won't matter. It really, really does matter to the people around you. Think of ways to reward yourself at various stages of completion of tasks. This is really important, just as a way to keep yourself motivated. If your goals are big, then sometimes it's a good idea to reward yourself along the way. If you'd like to bring your average in a class up from a C to an A, that's going to take time and effort. But maybe you could give yourself a little checkpoint along the way, and when you reach that first milestone, you can do something nice for yourself. Build enthusiasm for the greater task by acknowledging completion of the smaller parts of the task. This is one of those funny things that absolutely works for me. Sometimes when I'm trying to get some writing done and I have a big goal like 20,000 words by the end of the month or whatever, I will use little stickers or little pieces of candy, and it sounds silly, but every time I complete 2,000 or 5,000 words, I get to reward myself with these little tiny things that make me really happy and excited. I don't know about you, but I like rainbow stickers and I love seeing them all on my calendar. So I love being able to celebrate those little tiny stops along the way. Describe graphically the worst possible consequences for not completing the task, both short-term and long-term consequences. This is one of those ways to motivate yourself that maybe isn't great. I mean, maybe by thinking about what the bad things are that might happen if you don't do what you're supposed to do is a really good way to help you keep focus. For example, if you're worried about your grades and you know that you're going to become ineligible for an activity that you like unless you get your grades up, that might be a good motivator to start getting things done. Repeat to yourself the greater problems that will result if the task is not completed within the deadline. That's just the same thing saying that you have to sort of remind yourself of the possible consequences of not getting the things done that you set out to. Identify the specific price of not completing the larger task. Again, this one's another downer, but sometimes it's important to just keep in mind what's at risk. If you don't get certain things done, sometimes there are pretty bad consequences. So what do you think? Are you a procrastinator? Are you not really sure if you're a procrastinator? Well, lucky for you, the Study Skills Showdown with Miss Mackey is providing you today with a fabulous procrastination quiz. Basically just 10 questions, and all you have to do is fill out the check boxes at the top with whether you agree a lot, sort of disagree, or disagree a lot about yourself. And then at the end, all you'll do is multiply all the checks by the values at the bottom, and then you'll plug them in the boxes below. So I'm going to go ahead and read through these 10 questions. Get your pens ready, and we'll start in just 1 second. Procrastination quiz. Question 1. I usually find reasons for not starting an assignment right away. Question 2. I know what I should be doing, but I often choose to do something else. Question 3. I carry my books and schoolwork with me to lots of places, but I rarely open them. Question 4. I work best at the last minute when the pressure to get it done is really on. I have definitely been there before. And isn't it strange that you kind of feel like, oh wow, all this pressure to get it done at the last minute is really motivating me to work well? It's kind of a cop-out. I mean, yeah, you might get it done, but at what cost? That stress is taxing on your body and on your emotional well-being, and it's just simply not a very healthy choice. But we've all done it. Question 5. I have too many interruptions that get in the way of my doing what is really important. Question 6. I put off giving an answer when someone presses me to do something difficult. Question 7. I try to avoid or delay difficult actions or assignments. Question 8. I get too tired, nervous, or upset to do the difficult assignment or task I should be doing. Question 9. I like to get my room in a good order before starting a difficult assignment or task. Procrastinating? Maybe? Question 10. I find myself waiting to feel really ready before getting started on the most important projects or school assignments. That one really connects with me too. Sometimes I think that we wait for that feeling like this is the right time. This is a good, perfect time. I'm calm and rested and ready to work. And in reality, sometimes those feelings don't ever actually show up. And sometimes that means that you just have to sit down and get the work done, even if you don't feel perfect. That perfect ready to work feeling may not actually be a real thing, and it may not come around very often. So we can't wait for those perfect moments. We have to still get the task done if it's necessary, if it's what's asked of us, if it's what's best for us, even if we don't feel perfect about it. Now, at the bottom of your quiz, there's a place for you to multiply your answers by the values right here, and then write your answers in these boxes. And at the end, you will have a procrastination score. So if you add up all of your numbers, and you have below 20, that means that you are an occasional procrastinator. That's good. It means you don't procrastinate all the time, just a little bit of the time. Between 21 and 30, you're a frequent procrastinator. And that means you procrastinate pretty regularly. And above 30, that means you're a serious procrastinator. And that means you're putting things off a lot. And eventually, that procrastination could really come back to bite you. I hope today's lesson has been interesting and informative, and I look forward to talking to you all about the next Study Skills Showdown lesson next week. This is Miss Mackey, signing off. Hopefully this won't take too many tries. Procrasti-hoops. Procrasti-hoops. You are the only two people who will ever know how many tries.
Was it funny?
Yes.